Now, she's been dubbed Britain's strictest teacher, and apparently Catherine Birbalsingh has no time for gentle parenting. In an interview this week, she claimed that parents had been infantilised by modern literature that prioritises children's feelings rather than empowering them. So, Linda, if you were to describe your parenting style, what would it be?
Well, I think I've just turned into my mum, actually, because my parenting style is very much like my mum's. And she was the matriarch of the family, but very fair with all of us. And then I've taken over from my mum now with the kids and that, but I'm not very strict on them. I do try to be, but I'm not very strict with them. I start off saying, right, you're not having that. By the end of it, I'll get them whatever they want and that. So,
were you strict when they were little?
Not so much. I was working a lot when they were little as well, because when we was doing Birds of a Feather, we had rehearsal days weren't too bad because I'd be home in time to pick them up from school, but then studio days, it'd be 7:30 in the morning till 10 o'clock at night and that. So I used to feel guilty about not putting them to bed or getting them ready. Or in the mornings, like Mark would take them to school and everything. And my mum was really good as well, you know, like with the kids and that.
Yeah.
But I've never been able to be strict. But they can talk to me about anything. I'm very open, you know, like... So when Lauren had her first boyfriend when she was 16, I was getting worried then that maybe it was time to put her on the pill and everything. But I'd obviously speak to them to see what they thought was right and that. So, but I think I've been a really good mum, actually. And I think Lauren's an amazing mum.
I mean... we absolutely adore you. There's no two ways about that.
My kids said to me, Mum, we've had the best childhood because I took them everywhere with me. When I went to Australia, I took the kids out of school and took them to Australia with me, even though the school weren't happy about it. But I thought, I ain't leaving them for 3 months while I'm in Australia. But they loved it. They absolutely loved it. And they learnt a lot as well because they used to do a little diary every day of what they'd been up to and that, so...
I mean, it's interesting. There you were working as hard as you possibly could, but you still felt guilty, and we do talk about mum guilt. And, like, Jane and I, on the ends of this, unfortunately... Well, I don't feel it. Do you feel it, Jane? No?
I'm doing my best. I've always done my best. And I just think, you know, I look at my mum, it was just me and my mum. My mum had to work to pay the bills, so I did a lot of, like, bringing myself home from school, letting myself into the house. Sometimes I'd go to my next-door neighbours, no relation, for, you know, one of their stews or whatever. And if you look back at it now, people would go, oh, my God, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And it does make me laugh. I look at, you know, this lady now and it's like Britain's strictest teacher, and you read the details and you think, well, that was everybody's school back in the 60s and 70s. It was just normal. These are the rules, stick to the rules, this is your uniform, wear the uniform, these are the boundaries. And now we all act like it's some sort of unusual way to behave. And she's got, by the way, the best results.
Yeah, I know it.
Out of all of the state schools.
I know it is interesting. But on the guilt thing, Penny, do you feel guilty?
I've always said to Rod's girls that have had babies now, you know, just as a little kind of tidbit of, like, don't feel bad if you feel guilty, because it's a very normal feeling, I think, for a lot of mothers, because you wonder if you breastfed them for long enough and all the pressures about what you should and shouldn't do. Do you give them enough attention? Are you strict enough? You know, the list just goes on. And for me, I always doubt myself whether it's enough, and I kind of tell myself like a mantra: you are enough. You have done the right thing. But I
You're
battle
amazing,
with myself.
Mum.
Yeah, you
thank you, darling. But I just sort of battle with it all the time. You know, I know there isn't a perfect out there, and sometimes you just have to say you're enough.
But why are you so hard on yourself with it?
I don't know, really. I don't know where that comes from. But I agree with Jane with this teacher, the way she runs a school. It's just basic common sense, isn't it?
Yeah.
About reining kids in. They need the boundaries in order to perform at their best. And I think a lot of the class ideas in America of, like, oh, let the children play and learn, it just became so loose, and that's sort of come across, I think. And but kids do need those boundaries. They do need rules.
It will be interesting to see if we are on a bit of a cycle, won't it? I mean, even interesting, Rosette earlier on saying put a patch on your elbow, you know, when you wear it through, which is what we did back in the day. And in terms of parenting, exactly as you say, Jane, is where you're, why? And you go, because I told you so. And that was kind of the end of it. So, you know, you never know, it might be coming back round again. But listen, on the subject of parenting, could we have a drum roll, please? Thank you. Peppa Pig's mum, Mummy Pig, is having another piglet. Oh!
I love
broken
Peppa
on
Pig.
Good Morning Britain yesterday. After 2 decades, life is about to change for Peppa and her brother George with the arrival of a sibling. Give us an oink oink, Jane.
Oink, oink.
Thank you, well done.
I have been doing the maths on this. Mrs. Pig,
Just so
at bare
forensic.
minimum, she's 46. Bare minimum. More like 50.
She's quite an old pig.
She's quite an old
It's
pig.
a geriatric pregnancy. That's what they call it, isn't it? After 35, it's geriatric.
I remember when we told Lauren and Ellie that Grace was on the way, we took them to this little restaurant that we go to. It's our family, where we always go for celebrations and stuff. And I'd done a little envelope and they each had a copy of the scan in and a little pair of baby socks.
Aww.
And Lauren, who was 17 at the time, sort of opened it and went, what? I don't understand, sort of thing. And Ellie, who was about 11 or 12, her head literally hit the table like this. And I thought, oh, this hasn't gone well. And then she came out and she went, ooh, you've had sex. Oh, so yeah, anyway.
The mystery of childbirth.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Peppa Pig, she's going to have, like, go through IVF, you know, and introduce all that kind of education behind that, because so many
cartoon.
older women...
It's the cartoon.
Educate children and how different ways babies come along.
Yeah.
So many older women are choosing to work longer and then have babies later. I went through three sessions of IVF with Aidan, who's 5 years younger than Alistair, and he really wanted a brother. I was like, I'll do my best. And sure enough, when we went to see with the doctor what sex the baby was, it was released that he was a boy. So Alistair, only 5 at the time, complete joy. And he said, now I know you and Daddy have squished. And we were like, squished? Squished? Yeah. I watched the nature programmes and the animals squished and then there's a baby. I was like, there you go, you're right, we squished.
I quite like the sound of that.
nice.
But he was delighted, was he?
Absolutely delighted. He got the baby brother. And he said, please, can he have the same initials? So we had to find an A. So it was Alistair and Aidan. There you go.
You need to be tougher with these kids. You really, really do. I have to say my eldest was not that chuffed.
No, Lauren wasn't either.
Have you squished?
Not for a long time.
We didn't get to me squishing. But you know what? It's the weekend, you never know.